So what I wanted to cover off now were a number of takeaway tips and techniques that you guys can take away straight away and implement into your marketing and advertising creative, specifically across your direct marketing, to essentially improve your response and improve engagement and look at getting those all-important sales. So what we'll do is we'll cover various number of kind of techniques across ideas, across design, across writing, and I'll add some narrative to each of the techniques that I'm going to share with you. So the first thing that I want to talk to you about are teased reveals. Now, teased reveals work in a simple way that Christmas presents and movie trailers work, and it's that innate curiosity that we have as human beings, that we want to know more. And essentially, when we look at this mailing here, for while you've been away, we selected these exclusive savings for you. Simply the pull to reveal tab, the use of the irregular shape there, pointing at the direction that you want to pull, is just simply too much to resist. And this idea of curiosity in outers is a really powerful tool. And it can be used in some very, very kind of simple ways. Take this example from the UK, for example. This double window mailing plays on the fact of loyalty. Loyalty is worth a lot, but actually the actual amount that you're going to receive is obscured intentionally. So therefore it prompts you to want to open the mailing. It's a beautifully simple technique that essentially plays on our innate desire to just want to know more. It's the reason why clickbait works across a lot of copy-based adverts, etc., that you want to know the reveal of a scenario. Gamification is a powerful tool as well. Ultimately, we are all children inside. We all like a little play. And essentially what you can do with gamification is just make your direct marketing more interactive. And the best way to do this is to simply go and steal an idea from a children's book. Take this mailing for Bank of America, the lift up tabs, giving you an idea as to what you can do with a £100,000 loan, for example. It's just a beautifully simple way that just makes the actual pack more engaging and more memorable. And sometimes when we're thinking about direct mail, unlike other forms of marketing communication, direct mail lives around the home. And it can often be left on coffee tables and sideboards, etc. as well. So actually these little kind of gimmicks such as gamification, even though they might just be left on a coffee table, will eventually get picked up and interacted with. And because they're interacted with, they create a smile in the mind and become more memorable. Take this example, just a simple scratch and reveal. It basically plays upon the fact that we're all a child inside. We just can't help but just want to, with our fingernail or with a quarter, we just want to scratch away and get the reveal and reveal the deal. And essentially, once we've begun to start interact with something, we're more likely to carry on reading. And sometimes that is all we need to do. This mailing for Lush Cosmetics, for example, gives the illusion that the clothes will be removed when you pull the tab. Again, just playing on a little bit of cheekiness, but just the innate curiosity of wanting to reveal. The rule of three is a very powerful technique, and a lot of people don't realize that out of all the numbers, from 1 to 10, for example, 3 is the most memorable number that we recognize. So because what happens is that the human brain is naturally attracted to patterns, and the pattern that we're most attracted to in any form, in any other number, is number 3. It's no reason why such statements as truth, justice in the American way, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, a Mars a day helps you work, rest and play, are so memorable. And it's simply because of that rule of 3. 3 is simply the most memorable number that we can have. So using 3, elements of 3 across your mailings will actually make them become more readable and more attractive to the eye. Here's a list of examples. Look at how many times on these mailings there's a rule of 3 used, whether it be a graphic on the left-hand side, whether it be the call to action up in the top middle of call, click, come in, whether it just be the number of cards displayed on a mailing, 3 cards. Why not 2? Why not 4? It's because 3 attracts us. We are naturally attracted to this pattern. So using the rule of 3 across bullet points, across design points, is certainly something that you will find as a powerful persuasion tool. Understanding at a glance is a very, very important tool to look at. Now, there's a reason why the mailing on the left is going to work more powerfully than the mailing on the right. And it's simply because it uses more understand at a glance techniques. Now, what do I mean by understand at a glance techniques? Well, let's have a look at the mailer on the left a little bit closer. See how the valid until and invitation code, the loan amount box, the headline of fast response and fixed rates, the subheads throughout the letter, you deserve a better rate, the PS, the actual invitation code repeated down at the bottom, the apply online and the call to action on the right. Essentially, what you can do with this letter is understand the key messages in around about 3 to 5 seconds. Now, this is massively important because as people, we're all incredibly busy. So opening this letter and understanding the key sales messages in under 5 seconds will basically make a subliminal decision to come back and spend more time with that mailing later. And you'll be surprised at how many marketeers forget this rule. That simply helping somebody understand the piece of communication in under 5 seconds can uplift response massively. Here's an example from the UK that I've produced recently of 2 letters that are both communicating exactly the same information. But the letter on the left, you'll notice, uses better understand at a glance techniques. Look at the way the call to action of 6 great reasons works, the 1, 2, 3, the simple use of orange there. Look at how the call to action at the bottom of the page is stacked rather than in a kind of linear way, rather than piled on top of each other. Look at the different ways that we're using headers across and the different use of colors. Instead of purple text across the body text, we're using black text with purple headers. Now, interestingly, when we eye track this, look at the effect that it has. You can see on the left that the eye in under 5 seconds is hitting more key sales messages than any of the other messages on the right-hand side. It's a simple, beautiful rule that will have a massive impact on your marketing. The check mailing. Now, certainly in financial services, the use of the check is almost a given. You have to use it, but you'd be surprised at how many marketeers across other sectors don't think about how to use the check, because the check can be used as a voucher or any other kind of way, but the power of the check and the actual look of it actually plays upon the subliminal mind. Essentially, when people are holding a check or holding a discount voucher in any way that looks like a discount voucher, they're already imagining how they might spend it or the saving that they might make. So their mind is already further down the sales funnel than it would be than if it didn't have a check mailing. So if you're not testing any kind of check or discount kind of voucher kind of effects on your mailing, I would certainly suggest that you do so, because you'll be surprised how the effect it can have on your marketing. Typeface and font size. Now, if you're like me and you're in your mid-40s, you'll be wearing glasses. And the thing is with that, as people get older, over half of adults wear glasses or have contact lenses or are struggling to read. So what a lot of people don't understand is that actually increasing the point size slightly from 11 point, which is what traditional direct marketing pieces are usually setting, to around about 14 point can just increase the readability and understandability of a direct marketing piece. But it's not just the point size that we need to consider as well. What you'll find on a lot of marketing messages, especially because of the advent of the internet, is that they don't use serif fonts anymore. By serif fonts, I mean little curvatures at the bottom of the font. You'll notice the font on this mailing is a sans serif. There are no curvatures. But let's have a look at other kind of fonts. This handwritten font, for example, feels more personal, and it actually comes from an online brand. And it's actually digitally printed is this, but it gives the feeling of a one-to-one communication, which is actually what direct mail used to be between people when it was first invented. It was actually written from one person to another person. It's the reason why virtually all direct marketing pieces have a signature on them. But have a look at this. Considering a serif font can actually have a massive impact on all your marketing materials. Fonts like Courier or Times, etc., what happens is they become more highly readable. Essentially, they create a baseline across the bottom of the page, which makes it easier for the eye to follow. So when you're looking at the body copy of your mailing pieces, maybe it's time to consider a serif font. What it also does as well, it harks back to an earlier, less sophisticated age when people would write letters to each other. It naturally feels more personal. It feels more genuine and feels more human. And in this age of mass communications and digital communications, harking back to a golden age can have a huge impact for you. I want to just focus a little bit on the power of the written word since we've come to the points of font. And I want to just talk to you about a little bit about psychology and behavioral science. The thing is with human beings, our natural order is that even when we're faced with insurmountable facts and reasons to perform an action, we sometimes won't always perform the right action. Let me take a frivolous thing such as a pair of red shoes, for example, that a lady might want. Now, she might have all the reasons such as she can't afford them, etc., and all the reasons, not rational reasons, not to buy the shoes, but the emotion will always override the fact that she wants them and that they will make her happy. And so she will set aside other rational decisions and maybe go without lunch on a couple of days in order to enable to afford things like that. So even when you have a huge list of facts and features, you will always need some form of psychology and behavioral science. And the less facts and features that you have, you need even more psychology and behavioral science. Now, what do I mean by that kind of psychology and behavioral science? Well, let me give you a few little tips and techniques that you can use word-wise as well. Because the written word is a very, very powerful force and can really play upon people's minds. Take this headline, for example, from De Beers. 2 months' salary showed the future, Mrs. Smith, what the future will be like. The actual persuasion and response and the beautiful kind of nuances of this headline, I'm going to show you how it is so powerful. Similar with this letter from the Wall Street Journal from the 1970s, which has been responsible for over $1 billion of subscriptions. It uses what might be considered a cliched storytelling technique of two college friends who meet again on their 25th reunion, and one has been more successful than the other. The difference being one of them has read the Wall Street Journal and the other one hasn't. Now, you might think that that is quite a cliched story, but actually it plays upon innate human fears of somebody being more successful than us. So storytelling, how can we bring storytelling into our marketing pieces? Well, rather than listing benefits, stories show consumers how you can change their lives through concrete examples, putting them in a picture and getting them to imagine themselves using your product or service. And once they've put themselves in the picture, they'll want it more. But a lot of people get scared away from the stories because they actually think, well, is it going to increase the length of my copy? But you can actually do it in a very, very cute and simple way. So here's a 4-stage approach. You have a protagonist who you want the reader to identify with, a problem that your brand can make go away, a narrative of what happened, and a resolution to the end of the story. And it's a simple 4-act story. So Lucy has an important job interview on the horizon, but with payday so far away, she's glad that she can rely on her Capital One card to help her look her best on the big day. So there we have a simple story, a protagonist, a problem, and a resolution to the end of the story, all captured in one simple paragraph. The usage of the word you is interesting within marketing materials. The word you keeps you focused on essentially what you can do for the recipient and what your product can offer them rather than you just distilling your features and benefits and sort of bigging up yourself. When we first started out in writing for DM, I was taught the lesson that the more times I would use the word you, the more successful my DM letters would be. And that's simply because it just keeps you focused on what you can do for people, because people are inherently selfish. And when they receive your marketing materials, the first question they are asking themselves is, what's in it for me? We are all inherently selfish. So the word you helps you tackle that question head on. Take a look at how many times the word you is used within this letter. It's incredibly clever. And when we send you the deck, have a read at it and see how it stays focused on the actual recipient, but still cleverly gets across the actual benefits of the credit card offer. Double meaning is a great, the English language is a wonderful thing, and there are so many double meanings that we can play upon that can really leverage people with our marketing materials. Here's another example from my team. There's a totally unbeatable car insurance quote for you in this envelope with such a message and such a promise. Who would not want to open the outer? But what have we got on the inside? No, it's not an actual price quote. It's a range of quotes taken from the internet as to why you should buy insurance from this company. It's a simple smile in the mind moment that is not a lie. It's just an extension. It's just playing with words and being a little bit playful, and it still fulfills a promise. Repetition is a wonderful kind of technique, and a very, very simple technique that is often overlooked. See, repetition within the written word has the ability to make messages stick within people's minds. It's the word equivalent to a sonic, a memorable tune, because once we create a natural rhythm with words, such as the meter technique, it is basically easier to recall. It's the reason why ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. It's so memorable. So for example, let's have a look at how we can create some natural rhythms. Looking for an easy way to save, a way to save that fits your budget perfectly, a way to save that will help you get the car you've always wanted. Calling all loyalty card customers, we think loyalty should be rewarded, so we're offering you this exclusive deal to thank you for your loyalty. The repetition and the rhythm of these words across save and loyalty, and how you focus on key messages like that, will massively enhance the response of your marketing and the memorability of your marketing. Here's a great example from Chase, that they use the word year across multiple places, that they just want to really stick this idea of the year within people's minds. It's a year rich in rewards, a year of seeing things for yourself, a year of authentic flavors. Meg, you've had a rewarding year. This repetition really, really kind of sticks in the mind and will actually be memorable in the person's mind up to 3 to 4 hours after they have actually read this mailing. It will just prompt a recall. And the use of the word year in language later on in Meg's day, after she's read this mailing, will actually prompt a recall of this mailing. So it really kind of creates that little bit of memorability in her head. Sometimes when we're thinking about direct marketing pieces and any kind of marketing pieces, we want to think about what emotion do we want to create in the reader. And this harks back to the De Beers advert that I mentioned. Because to aid in persuasion, sometimes it's best to think about what emotion you would like to trigger in the reader in order to get them to act. So for example, pride, because mums know best. We're not offering everybody this. We'd love to get your opinion. Take a look at this city mailing and how the special card member opportunity simply plays upon this sense of pride. It makes you feel exclusive. It's a tried and tested technique that works over and over again. Surprise. You don't need to spend thousands to refresh your home. Here's how to save for a home from as little as $1 a day. Discover high quality products at a price you wouldn't expect. Our lowest intro rate, no annual fee, no kidding. The sense of surprise created by the no kidding element creates a positive emotion and it is designed to discover if the offer is really true. 10 things you never knew about the ocean that will amaze you. Number 3 will take your breath away. This element of surprise in this copy structure, again, is a technique used often in clickbait. Promises. So sometimes people don't buy because of what you provide. They buy things because of what you promise. You promise to get them a better job. You promise to make them more wealthy. If your copy is average, people have to dig around for the promise. So the trick is to make the promise clear and enticing to the consumer. We promise you a lump sum to be proud of when you retire. We promise that you'll find a way to save that suits your financial demands. We promise that there's always something new to discover. Take a look at how this URL and the actual construction of it marries the promise together with a closing message. Applying now, American Express, save now, with a high yield savings account. So it's just using some simple, clever techniques. This one, goodbye to spending more to get rewards, hello to rewards for responsible payment habits. So the promise of rewards for good behavior is becoming very enticing here. Secrets is another technique that you can use. You can write secrets for any products or service, but sometimes it's best to kind of save it for when you've got a definite advantage over the competition. So want to know the secret to saving for a home? Top savers swear by this technique. Isn't it time you tried it too? The secret to achieving that killer look is all in the little details. Revealed, the simple tricks every saver should know about. And I promise you, you can write secrets for anything. And as long as you've got some good insights and some good understanding of your audiences and their hopes and fears. Time, you'd be surprised how many people don't focus on time, because as human beings, if we're not kind of manipulated a little bit on time, we will take ages and ages to make a decision. And the use of social media has really kind of breathed new life into the idea of time. So for example, only one day left to save 50% on selected products. Respond before X and we'll include a free sample of X. Hurry, this offer must end at midnight tonight. Don't miss out on an extra 10% of all sale items today only. See, when you use these kind of techniques, what you're doing is you're increasing the heart rate of the recipient. And once the heart rate is increased, they're more likely to perform an action. 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance is a really cute little way from Gecko that they've used time in a kind of different way. The promise of 15 minutes saving you so much. What else could you do in 15 minutes that could save you that amount? This idea from Omaha Steaks, for example, with dated tickets open now, really kind of plays upon that innate desire of missing out, and nobody likes to miss out. So these are just a kind of few tips of the iceberg really on our persuasion and response workshops, which I've run recently in Boston in the US and Geneva for Duracell, and I've run them all over the world. If you'd like to find out more about the persuasion and response workshops, they're free of charge, and essentially they cover techniques in writing and idea generation. They can help you enhance your ROI, and as I mentioned, they're free of charge. Feel free to get in touch with Dennis or Alessandra or Lars about them, and they will contact me, or you can contact me directly through LinkedIn or Twitter.